Lorence.
Get out there. Oh.
Okay, this piece is called Rule of Three. I woke in the morning with a strange feeling of dismemberment. My alarm clock went blaring on, and I seized it with both hands while I scratched my head. Wait a minute, something is very wrong here. Gazing at my reflection in the mirror, I immediately saw what was wrong. Holding both my hands out in front of me, I still had another hand on top of my head grasping a clump of my own hair. Sometime in the night, I developed a third hand. I wielded its fingers, weighed with it, and it did everything exactly like the other two. Only I couldn't see exactly where it was connected to me. I didn't have a third arm, merely this mysterious appendage that seemed to come from somewhere behind me and hang just behind my real right hand whenever it was at rest. I'd have to think about this one. 25 minutes later, I somehow still found the determination to head for the office. I made the usual pit stop at the inconvenience store adjacent to the necessary transit station. As I placed my standard large coffee and peanut M&Ms on the counter, I saw a new cashier at the till, not the young girl who managed to smile at me coyly every morning. This old man in a white shirt glared at me with an empty and humorless expression, and I think that's what triggered it. I saw the hand dart forward, just as he turned to put my coins in the register. It just jumped out there and grabbed a bag of black licorice from the shelf. It was so fast I could barely catch it myself. It was that blasted hand, the one I couldn't see attached to me. It definitely grabbed the bag of candy and slipped into my pocket. The white shirt was none the wiser. I arrived at the office and took the elevator up to the 4th floor where I work. I was munching on the candy my new hand had secured for me, and was quite pleased with the results. One of the more attractive secretaries of the neighboring office is standing in front of me, facing the door. I observed her fondly, trying to recall her name. Then it happened again, acting entirely with a mind of its own. I'm not sure exactly what it did, whether it went around her waist or perhaps something worse, but she jumped with enough force that I thought she would hit her head on the ceiling. She looked behind her with rage in her eyes at me and everyone else. Apparently, the poor girl determined it was the man standing next to me because she slapped him resolutely. He was completely baffled. He had been engaged with his phone the whole time. He looked at her flabbergasted and backed out of the elevator to the 3rd floor. The hand vanished just as quickly as it had appeared. This was becoming frightening. It was obvious I couldn't control the appendage. It simply seemed to work with a mind of its own. It wasn't as if I could restrain it either. It would simply disappear whenever it wanted to. I didn't know what to do. I passed by the reception desk on the way to my office. There sat Valerie, our aging receptionist at the Heart of Gold. In front of her, she had strategically placed a coffee can labeled with the latest charity fundraising initiative. She waved a greeting to me and motioned to indicate the can. Want to make a contribution? She asked. Sorry, I'm tapped up today, Val. Maybe tomorrow. Oh, that's all right. I've raised plenty in the last couple of days. Look at this. She held out a small envelope with a minor stack of bills. Maybe $60 is my guess. Not bad for less than a week, wouldn't you say? Just as she said it, she managed to overturn her purse and spill its contents off the front of her desk. She dropped the envelope and rushed around to the side to save her belongings. I assisted her by grabbing several small items and placing them on her desk, and she scurried to collect what was left. The poor woman was completely flustered and seized her lipstick furiously. The accident was recovered, and I wished her good morning as I sat under my desk. The ghost hand hung there just at the edge of my desk, right at the border of my sight. I saw it jump down and close the half-open middle drawer at my desk where I kept overdue paperwork. I wondered what it was up to, but I had too much work ahead of me to worry about that now. My first work task was to fill out checks for several of our suppliers, which I would hand off to my manager to sign later on. As I drew up the first one, filling in everything but the authorizing signature, as I pushed that one aside, the hand jumped up to my desk for a moment. I looked back at the check, and that's when I saw it. There it was, a nearly perfect signature of my manager's name, just as illegible as the real thing. The hand had forged it in fine detail. I could write and cash one of these company checks right now. I became terrified. This had become serious. This ghost hand was dangerous. It suddenly occurred to me to look in the drawer. I opened it and my heart sank as I saw what was in it. It was Valerie's envelope. The hand had grabbed it when she stole her purse. I slammed the door shut and glared down at the new appendage sitting there on my desk, drumming its fingers. It seemed to be waiting me for to do something. It wouldn't have to wait long. I grabbed my ivory-handled lever opener from the corner of my desk and went after it. I stabbed repeatedly at the ghost hand, seeming to just miss it every time the blade dug into my desk, time and time again. I knocked the phone off in the process and it slammed against the door as I went after it with my other two hands this time. One of the women in her neighboring office apparently heard the commotion, because that's when I heard her pounding on my office door, shouting loudly, "Are you okay? What's happening? Need help?" The only thing I needed help with now was getting rid of this monstrous appendage. I managed to seize it, and I could feel my other two hands grasping it, as real as I could feel anything through the other hands. It got away, and it seized the letter opener from beside my chair where it had fallen. It disappeared behind my back, and that's when I felt a sharp pain. The city coroner looked over the report in disbelief as his intern rolled over the body to reveal the wound. It consisted of a perforated renal artery in the victim's right kidney. He looked up from the table and said, "This is would be a suicide?" Apparently, he was found in his office with a letter opener in his back and his arm twisted around behind him. He was alone as well, so there was no question of foul play. Disbelief ran through his voice. His shoulder is dislocated. Enough that it looks like he's really struggling. Against what? There was no one else in the room. I guess we'll never know. Thanks.
J.P. Lorence, folks.